Welcome to another episode of the PPSS Success Show. My name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also best-selling author. And every single day, I help others unlock potentials and guide them to succeed. Today on the show, we have another great guest. She comes highly recommended as somebody who's very detail-oriented, a forward-thinking person, and somebody that people love to be able to partner up with. She has many years in the healthcare area and also office management. She's transferred those skill sets and also that detail-oriented mindset into her current stuff, which is investing. And she's very, very good at that stuff as well. Everything from real estate, commercial, to technology, entertainment, startup. Just keep on going down the list. She's involved with that type of investing. People love working with her when it comes to that. So please welcome entrepreneur, investor, Ms. Kelly HANEY.
Thank you, Fong. I really appreciate your inviting me here today.
Hey, awesome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. And also, I'm sure some great stories that you're going to be about to share. So how does somebody like you become an investor? Like, what's your origin story? I know lots of people out there who's working 9 to 5 as an employee and all that kind of stuff. They go, I wish I could invest. I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. I wish I could grow my money. But you've done it. You've become an investor. You were very successful in it. What was that kind of those steps that you took to become this great investor that you are now?
Well, actually, I think my story is probably similar to many people's story. During COVID, there was a lot of self-assessment going on. And I really felt as though I had more to offer than what I was currently doing, or at least I felt as though I wasn't meeting my full potential. And so I was reaching out and listening to podcasts and listening to other things where people were talking, and that's what sort of spurred me to do new things. And from there, I did investing on the side while still working in my full-time job, and then eventually left my full-time job to invest.
Oh wow! So this is fairly recent, within the last few years that you've made this transition.
Oh yeah, it's only been a year now that I left full time.
No, that's like a lot of people, a lot of employees' dreams. Within a year, they could jump out of their jobs and do full-time investing. But then there's so much of those things out there that they're afraid of. What if this is fake? What if this is wrong? What if this doesn't work? And I'm sure all those questions have gone through your mind when you're looking at so many options. So how
Yeah.
did you differentiate? Okay, let me give this one a try. Yeah, this one sounds a little sketchy. Or like, how'd you navigate through that?
Well, honestly, it really does come down to due diligence, going and putting your eyes on it yourself, visiting if it's a real estate property, visiting the property, knowing the people that you're investing in. And it's always nice to meet amongst good company in these investments, right?
Mhm.
To have nice people to partner with. And that's what makes the difference for me
Mhm.
is spending all the time that it takes to feel comfortable in an investment. That is my due diligence.
What was that first deal? First, is it real estate that you went into first?
It was, yes, it was. It was, well, actually, that's not even true. My first investment was tech.
Oh.
It was tech. I invested in a sort of a startup, but in an industry, an entertainment type industry. And yeah, that was a little more risky than my investments to follow. There wasn't as much due diligence, but it turned out fine.
So how did you decide to, like, because my one of my questions was, how do you go from real estate, commercial, and all that kind of stuff and then into tech, but actually you start from tech first and startups, which is what most people probably wouldn't do. They probably would go, okay, let me do something that's been tried, tested, and true. Everybody else is doing it as the first step. But you jumped that and went, oh, let's do startup.
Well, it was not my largest investment. We'll put it that way. I entered into that first investment in a smaller value than I would later go on to do.
Mhm. And what was your thought process? Was there a lot of fear in that? And how did you conquer that fear?
actually, I felt as though I had good advisors that were, and I knew that the investment was kind of more of a bridge loan than entertainment, than strictly entertainment. So I knew that felt good, and there was good, that felt comfortable rather, and I knew that there was good. Uh, mm, there was a good way for us to get our money back if it didn't, if for whatever reason it went south.
I
It was
see.
good. Guarantees. Guarantees is the word I'm looking for.
No, I work with a lot of people who then come back to me and goes, you know what, I'm so excited about this. I'm so excited about going to real estate. I'm so excited about going to investing, but I got so many people telling me not to do it. I got so many people, especially family and friends and people who care for me, who's telling me, don't do it, don't listen to this guy because that's kind of sketchy, or don't listen to that person because it's not going to work. So, did you have anybody within your circle that kept on telling you, hey, this startup, we're going to lose everything. I don't care what
That
the
is
guarantees are.
so funny you should say that, because honestly, initially, I really didn't talk about it much because I didn't want for anybody to dissuade me. I knew that I was working within a value range that I was comfortable losing, right? I mean, that's important when investing, is you don't invest more than you would be comfortable losing. And so initially, I really didn't talk about it much. I didn't want anyone to dissuade me. Later, when I was doing a little more, I did have some people that wanted to dissuade me, and I just decided not to share in front of them, right?
Like by
So
then, you probably already had a good grasp on what you were doing already, and you already had people involved that you could actually bounce ideas off of and get their actual feedback from. Because I know for myself, I didn't talk to anybody for a good. Well, no, that's not true. I told lots of people at the beginning, and I felt like crap.
and then you pulled
Better
back on
stop
that.
talking.
Can't talk to these people. And I mean, and it really comes down to whether they're a no person or a yes person, right?
Right.
I mean, like if they're you know, if they have any faith whatsoever, if they can see the possibility in things, and now don't get me wrong, there is value in people who have knowledge, and especially in a particular industry that you're looking at, and you want to hear from those with knowledge, because sometimes it is a no, right? I mean, sometimes it should be a no, but if their overall mindset is a naysayer, you kind of don't want to share a lot in front of them.
You just
Right?
sit there and nod silently. I won't answer anything until they ask me actual questions, and then start sharing, but not share because of sharing. For yourself, how was that first real estate deal? Was it a buy, fix, and flip? Was it a buy and hold?
The first was a flip.
Mhm.
The first real estate was a flip. It was local. Again, it was a small investment, and I had complete confidence in the people that were dealing with it. Um, and then, yeah, that was an interesting, and it was very fast. It was a flip that had been started by another entrepreneur, and they weren't able to pull it off. And so the group that I ended up investing with, they kind of walked into a situation where a lot of the hard work was done, and it was just using their experience to push through and get the rest of it done.
Mhm. So a lot of your investments are with other people. You partner up with other groups, you partner up with different people, and then for your own investments, I'm assuming you have other people partnering up with you as joint ventures and whatnot, correct?
Well, I'm not sure how you're dividing, what are the two distinctions you're trying to make there. A lot of my investing is certainly with other people.
Right.
I'm more what you would say a silent partner,
I
you
see.
know, than you know, than getting
Getting
my
in there, taking on the property, doing the
exactly.
renovations, whatnot, and
They
and that's
consider that.
And that's great because like within the investing world, we need different players. We need people who are silent partners. We need people who are right down there in the thick of things, and it applies to so many different people too. So that if somebody out there right now is like, well, I don't want to get involved, but how do I
Right.
get involved? And
Right.
somebody who's very experienced in that. So when it comes to partnerships, then how do you go through a very stringent vetting process to go, okay, this is a partner I could probably trust. What's your like list of questions that you ask? How do you build that relationship? What's the keys to partnership for you?
Well, in the particular investment group that I'm involved in, I have the opportunity to kind of silently watch people, and so that's nice. You can get a feel for, how they show up, whether they show up, and whether or not they appear to be reliable, right? So that's number one, and that's the biggest thing to me. And then after the people part, it's where is the deal, and what is that market like?
Hmm. Do you have any preference as to what type of investment you're putting your money into?
Well, when before the real estate market shifted a tad, Texas and Florida were great. I live in Florida and I was born in Texas and have relatives still in Texas. So it was really nice to be able to invest there because, um, I had the opportunity to go there anyway, and it was easier to visit projects and that type
Mhm.
of thing.
No,
So.
for somebody who looks at opportunities all the time,
Mm.
there must be some key things that you look for instantly so that you can sift through the investment opportunities fast. What are some of the things that you look for at the very beginning so you could kind of sort out yes, no, maybe?
Well, honestly, it comes down to the terms. For me, it's the terms, and the people. I mean, it's number one, it's the people. How well do I know them? What is their experience? What kind of deal are they bringing? Um, there are a lot of people that I know that will bring deals, and it'll be sort of like a loss leader in the sales circulars at Christmas time. Like, how can they sell this, laptop at this price? And it's because they want to get you in the door. There are actually some people in my network that will do loss leader kind of deals where they're like, I just want to build relationships, and so I'm going to give um, my partners, a very healthy share. Well,
Mm-hmm.
those are always nice to find and get on board with. But I hope that answered your
Mm-hmm.
question.
No, for yourself, you went through this phase of investing and building those relationships. There was a point in time when you go, you know what, I could pull the plug from going to work every single day.
Mm.
How was that process? Did you think about it a long time, or did you go, okay, once I hit this number, I'm out of there?
Well, I had a mentor who kind of used a boot and kicked me out. It was I will say it was a very long process,
Mhm.
mostly because I did not want to leave that business in a bad situation. Um, I, I needed to, how do I want to say this? Uh, to keep my integrity, I wanted to make sure that I left them in the best shape that I possibly could leave them in before leaving. But when it came down to it, I got a swift kick from a mentor. It was time to get out.
What was it? One of the best feelings that you've had, where you go, okay, I'm not going to work tomorrow.
uh, let's see. Yes, yes. Um, it didn't necessarily last because of a bad hire, a very bad hire. But yeah, no, it was very liberating,
Mm.
very liberating.
Now, for somebody who would like to jump into some sort of investment,
Mhm.
let's say if they follow your path, what would be some of the first like couple milestones that they should hit, or they should aim for, or what percentage of their, let's say, savings or their access to funds should they allocate to investing as a start?
Well, that's a really good question. I had quite a bit of savings that I could fall back on, so that was, you know, a gift and not necessarily something that everyone would have the opportunity for an equal footing. But what I would suggest is actually um, to be very conservative. Be very conservative when it comes to, leaving a job because, um, well, for one thing, the world is going through a whole lot of change right now. And we've been on a roller coaster. You never really know which way it's going to be next. But as far as I wouldn't necessarily put it to a percentage, it would really just be your comfort level, right? The individual person's comfort level. However, I would highly recommend that they keep their job for as long as possible and definitely save so you have a big comfortable nest egg, and recognize that you can do far more than you think you can do, right? So while you are, working at that full-time job, there's so much you can still do,
Mhm.
you know, in this side business that you're starting, and recognize that it's important to do both for a good long time until you feel the comfort, to leave. I'm sorry, I can't really put a percentage to it. That's so personal, right? But what I would say is definitely to one, recognize you can do so much more than you think you can, and that when it becomes apparent that your we'll call it anchor job, that's a great word, right? That your anchor job is preventing you from succeeding in ways that you could succeed in this new venture, then that's the time.
Mhm.
Your anchor job becomes an anchor that's weighing you down, as opposed to supporting your life,
Right.
then that's the time. When
Mhm.
it becomes a hindrance, that's the time to leave.
No, for somebody yourself, you've invested in a lot of different things. Lots of people who don't even start is because they're afraid that something will go wrong.
Yes.
I'm assuming that you've had something, an opportunity or an investment or something that did not go according to plan. Uh, can you share one of those stories and what did you learn from it? And in retrospect, would you go, you know what? I'm happy that that actually happened because like you can kind of work against it next time that comes around.
Actually, the bump in the road that I experienced wasn't necessarily an investment, but my ability to leave my anchor job. That was a huge bump in the road. And, it drug on for months longer than I intended for it to. And that is really where I speak about, you can do more things at once than you might think you could, right? And yes, I was hoping to be done by uh, I don't necessarily want to give months, but a particular month, and it ended up 5 months later that I actually left that position again because it was important to me to leave my longtime employer in great condition, at least as much as was within my control,
Mhm.
and and that was my bump in the road. And what I learned from it was, wow, I really can, you know, the when I envisioned leaving, I had these this list of horrible things that could occur. Every one of them happened, plus some. Like absolute, every bad thing that I could have envisioned could happen did happen, and to a much larger degree than I ever thought possible.
Wow.
And everybody still survived.
I guess there's people can endure more than you think then.
Absolutely.
No, I got the privilege of seeing you on stage a few times.
Mhm.
Was that in the works? Was that in the plans as well? Like from doing what you were doing to investing. So you know what? I'm going to speak on stages.
Yeah. No, that was definitely not part of the vision. But I've taken a lot of leaps. I've taken a lot of leaps of faith, and yeah, that was exciting. It was that there was another perseverance story. I had a mere 6 weeks prior to that event. I had an orthopedic injury. I broke a bone, and still persevered and got on stage and didn't let it slow me down.
Oh wow, well, nobody could have told me that you were suffering from something because you look awesome on stage and you were able to deliver the performances absolutely amazingly. Now,
Wow, thank
when it
you.
comes to being on stages, was that an experience that was tough to take on? Or how was your preparation? How did you get your mind to go, you know what, I'm gonna be in front of thousands of people? And that's something that most people go, you know what, I'm just gonna sit right here.
Yeah. Wow. These are great questions, Fong. um, I, you know, I knew that it was a stretch that I needed to make. It's not necessarily the first stage I've ever been on, but the stages I've been on in the past were certainly much smaller, right? The audiences were much smaller. Um, some were more intimate, less structured. Uh, the stages that I was on in November of last year, very structured, uh, very large. So I did have some preparation from my past, and I knew that it was time, and that in and of itself
Mhm.
was enough to carry me over. And I think, honestly, I think that orthopedic injury probably helped me not get in my head about it, right? My head was busy doing, months of rehab and stuff instead. So I couldn't get, concerned or worried.
Mhm. You mentioned before that you had a mentor give you the boot. How important is mentorship to you? And I'm sure you mentor other people when it comes to investing as well. What's important when it comes to having the mentor or a coach in your corner, and what's important to be the person who's being mentored or being coached?
Well, I would have to say that all of my leaps and bounds in the last year and a half have been at the behest of excellent mentorship. Absolutely. We I think we can really get in ruts, and we can fail to recognize the full potential that we have to offer, and that's a shame. And so I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to be mentored, and I will continue to be mentored. um, and I also enjoy mentoring, and and I mostly left that behind with that job a year ago, but I'm looking at new ways to bring that back into the circle of uh, mm, I don't want to say businesses, but um, things that I can share.
Mhm. Right. You mentioned before about perseverance and how you're able to go overcome many things, and I think one of the characteristics as to why you're successful when you're being coached or mentored. because you have somebody who's challenging you and you keep on persevering, persevering, persevering. What would you allocate that trait to? How come you're so willing to persevere over challenges, failures, things that don't go according to plan?
Wow, I had some amazing models from my past. Uh, um, my mother, gotta say, my mother was my first lesson in perseverance, and followed by my eldest sister. Gosh, all of my siblings. uh, absolutely. I mean, and those are your first lessons, right? And and those are really the most important. I mean, they've been the most lasting examples of perseverance. Just I'm grateful to the lessons that they've shared, grateful for rather, and I I'm and of course my mentors as well. You know, show me perseverance, but you know, it comes from my original my origin story, so to speak. You know, my mother was the best example of perseverance and tenacity, no doubt.
Well, that's also very very that's very true for a lot of people who look up to their parents and push forward and learn a lot from them. And I'm glad that you had a good role model there, and I'm hoping a lot of people out there has the same thing. Now, for you, what's the next big thing? What can people expect from you that go, wow, she's doing this or she's coming up with that?
Ah, yes. Well, interestingly enough, um, I have a podcast coming up, and I have a few guests that I have booked, and that's the next big thing. And where it will lead, we will see. Um, I'm also involved in a medical mastermind that I'm excited about. It you know, while I have left the day-to-day healthcare industry behind, I'm excited to share my experience in a way that is very meaningful to me through the medical mastermind.
Very, very cool. And that goes back to that relationship that you wanted to maintain. There's lots of people out there who goes, you know what? Let's burn that bridge so I can't go back, and my only path forward is this, right? And then we'll force them to be successful in that. However, as you've proven, well, you know what? You keep those relationships going because you never know if those relationships would lead to something else. And now you're on this mastermind again,
Right.
building more relationships, potentially having other partners, other investors in that group as well. So very, very important. And well, let me ask you this: when it comes to relationship building, what are some of the keys that you focus on to maintain those relationships and making sure those relationships last for a long time?
Wow. Um, I have relationships that date back decades. I know you're probably surprised to hear that. I look so young and youthful. I'm kidding. Um, I think it's choosing the right people to have relationships with, honestly, because I have relationships that literally date back to grade school. And and we can connect having not connected for years, and we just like pick up where we left off, right? So I think oftentimes it's finding your tribe, so to speak. And so people that don't necessarily need you to knock on their door every other week to feel a connection with. um, but then when a relationship is new, obviously it is important to reach out more frequently and to find meaningful ways to connect with them. But I'm grateful to have very long time relationships, and I cherish them. And and you know, the very long term ones, it's funny because you can kind of have an agreement, like it's almost as if the short notice opportunities are the most meaningful. Like I live in a tourist area, and a lot of people from my elementary and on years of education will come here to vacation. And so sometimes they'll just reach out and they'll be like, hey, I'm in town, you want to do lunch? And I'm like, yeah, that's great. But there's an understanding, right? There's an understanding that, if I'm in town, I'm going to reach out. And if I say I'm busy, nobody gets their feelings hurt, right? But it is as if the short notice opportunities work out the best, and they're almost more exciting because it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this worked out,
Exactly.
But yeah, so it's finding the right people and staying in touch. I think.
And some of those short notice things is build so much more in the future, because it's so easy to go, you know what, so short notice, I'm just gonna say no. That's such an easy thing for people to do, and most people do that. It's saying yes, and then all of a sudden you get this jolt of energy and go, I wonder what's gonna happen. I wonder what they're gonna see. I wonder what they're gonna do, and all that kind of stuff. So that's also very important. Now, when it comes to legacy, what does legacy mean to you, and what would you like people to remember Kelly for?
Wow, legacy. You know what? I would like for people to remember me, I suppose, as someone who didn't give up. I'm tenacious, I persevere, and that I'm approachable, and that I'm always willing to lend a helping hand, and it's genuine. It's funny. I've had people not really understand. Well, why do you want to help? I'm like, because I can, because I want to, and someone who always is a learner. I'm always a learner, and I'm always interested in giving back.
Awesome. And if we were to put you on the world stage again, and you had a few minutes to say one message for everybody to live by, to remember, to follow, what's that one message?
Say yes. Just say yes.
Very simple. Yes, sir.
Yeah. You never know where it'll lead you. Always say yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time. Before I let you go, I have 5 very quick questions for fun. Let me know the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
You're stranded on a desert island. First, one food to eat for the rest of your life, no consequence.
One food. Coconuts.
A fictional character that you would love to partner up with on an investment.
Partner up with on an investment. A fictional character. Ooh, I'm not good at this. I don't watch much TV. Fictional character. I don't know. Harry Potter? I don't have the slightest idea.
Hey, it's not bad. You can have magic all in your life and all that kind of stuff. So Harry Potter shows up at your door and say, hey, let's get together. Let's find out what we can work on. But I'm hungry. And you go, don't worry about it, Harry. I'm going to go fix you something nice. What's that special dish that you could cook up?
What's a special dish I could cook up?
Yep.
I hope he's not vegetarian. I love to make rosemary lamb chops.
Ooh, wow. Sounds awesome. I'll come. I will take his place. You're on a car ride, in a car ride for a long trip, hours and hours on end, but there's only one song that plays over and over and over. What's that one song you don't mind listening to?
Oof. Oh God, the only thing that comes to mind right now. Oh, hours on end. Yikes. The only song that comes to mind right now is Flowers by Miley Cyrus, but I couldn't listen to it for hours on end.
We'll see how long it would last.
Yeah.
Last question before I get there. Give me a number from 1 to 5.
5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you had to relate success to board games, how is success like a board game?
How is success like a board game?
Yep.
I would say the game of life. However, there was a lot of emphasis on going to college. I don't think that that's a thing as much as it used to be. I think tradesmen are in the catbird seat right now.
Awesome.
I do. So it's sort of the anti-board game. It's the not life.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for that. What are you looking for now? Like from opportunities wise, partners wise, what are you looking for, and how do people reach out to you?
Well, honestly, I am looking for podcast guests. Fong, will you be on my podcast?
I'll be there.
Excellent. And I know I have a handful of folks that have already spoken with me about opportunities in that regard. What else? Beyond the podcast and beyond the medical mastermind, I would say that it probably has something to do with a network that I was involved with during my healthcare years. I will probably be doing something with that.
Awesome.
Well,
and the best way to reach out through social media, email?
The best way to reach out to me actually is thekellyhaney@gmail.com.
Okay.
That's the best way.
So for everybody out there, make sure you reach out. Great person to talk to when it comes to investing, partnering, great insights, lots of stuff that you can learn from Kelly. So make sure you reach out, connect with her on social media and whatnot. Once again, thank you very much for your time. I enjoyed our time here. Lots of great stories and also learned a lot. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And to add, my Instagram is Kelly Haney Official.
Great. So connect with Kelly. Until next time, she's Kelly. My name is Fong. Today is the day to lock your peak potential. We'll see you later.
Thank you.